I think the reason the Exodus story is so important is partly because it is so foundational to the whole Old Testament. It's so clear to Israel's identity. The Bible, the Old Testament is really the story of Israel, and the Exodus story is the most formative narrative in the whole thing. It's like, this is, who are you, Israel? Oh, we are the people who God redeemed from Egypt. Who is God? He is the God who brought us out of Egypt. It's the way, it's so central to the biblical understanding of who God is and of who God's people are. But it's also then hugely important to the way in which the New Testament writers, of course, who are mostly Jews themselves, tell the story of what Jesus has done, and central to the way in which Jesus actually saves them. So it's not just an interesting detail about history. It's not just they came out, they were redeemed by the Passover lamb, came out through the Red Sea, went on to the Promised Land, never to be repeated again. What happens is that story, the shape of going into slavery, experiencing difficulty and suffering, being rescued, often with blood, often overnight, coming out of water and then to a place of safety and inheritance, is a way in which the whole Bible tells that story multiple times, both before Exodus in Genesis and right the way through into the end of the Bible, Revelation and certainly the Gospels. And so the Exodus is crucial because it both defines Israel's story, but also defines the way in which the New Testament present the story of Jesus and say, this is what God has done for you. And even to this day, when we take the Lord's Supper, or we baptize a person, or we disciple a person, or we preach the gospel, or we talk about resurrection, we are doing Exodus-like things. We're saying the Lord's Supper echoes this meal that they had, and baptism echoes this experience they had through the sea, and this, your future hope is based like theirs was on reaching a land flowing with milk and honey. The whole story of the Christian life is effectively an Exodus story in a different key. And so it's massive to understanding the Old Testament, but it's massive to understanding everything that Scripture is telling us about what Jesus has done and who we are.